Hello and welcome to the Magical Learning Podcast for this week. Today we are talking about Leadership 101. If you've looked at some of our other podcasts and thought that maybe you don't know if this is what you need or that's what you need, this is a great podcast to start with. Have a magical week. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Magical Learning Podcast. We are back this week after a week off and we'll get into some of the things that people got up to in the week off very shortly. But I want to thank you for listening. We had a big week last week. So again, people liked the reissued episode. It was one of our earlier ones that we've now issued as a video that you can watch on Spotify. So pretty good. You can listen to it, the old version, or you can watch it, the new version. Pretty good stuff. Everything's available. We're all rested and refreshed, and I'm excited to chat to everyone and see how they're going. So why not start now? Let's start with Grahame, first person on the call. I think that's fair to ask. How was your week last week?
My week was good, Jess. Thank you. So first week, finally back home after a bit of a break in our most southern state. And it's the first Friday of no daylight savings for 2022, which is pretty exciting.
That is pretty exciting. That's pretty good. Thanks for that, Grahame.
Happy to help.
Yeah, great. Just for those people that hadn't set their clocks back yet, that's it's a good reminder there. So it's a good one. Alan, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been great, Jazz, and it's great to have everybody in New South Wales back onto Queensland time again, and makes calculating scheduling a little bit easier for me. And yeah, I'm just generally enjoying the cooler weather and getting outdoors a bit more now, which is wonderful.
Awesome. Good to hear, Alan. And yeah, I'm glad we're on the same time zone now. That's good. John, how have you been this week?
Just another busy week, Jess. Just doing the normal sorts of things with work and kids and family and that sort of stuff. Nothing exciting.
Fair enough. Well, it's good to have you on anyway. So thanks for jumping on, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And Kanika, how's your week been?
It's been good. It's been so lovely to see Grahame and Danette in person and have you guys around after so long. Despite it being autumn now in Victoria and things getting cold, we've had a couple of nice 20 plus degree days, which I'm really savoring before we only have like 7 to 8 hours of sunlight a day. So that's been really lovely. But yeah, that's been my week.
That is true. And today we also have great weather. So that's an extra benefit. We got a good weekend here in Melbourne. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for showing up today. It's exciting. We're back live. So that's exciting. And today we're talking about Leadership 101. I thought people that may be emerging leaders may be put into roles and may look through our feed and look for different things that they may want to work on. But I thought as a bit more of a general podcast, I thought we could do a Leadership 101, some basic tips and tricks that may help out if you're really stuck and don't even know where to start. And so I thought we can go around and we've got some great leaders amongst us. So I think it's a great group to ask. So I'm excited to hear what everyone has to say. So I might start with you, Grahame, with our first question of the week. And that is, what traits make for a great leader?
No pressure. That's what I like to see. No pressure at all. I think humility is well, maybe I'll just go with two. I think humility is hugely important and I think more relevant in 2022, given the last couple of years. Compassion.
Do you want to elaborate a little bit more for people that maybe no?
So I think, yeah, I'm going to make it hard for you. You got to earn your money today. Oh, hang on, we're not paying you, are we? That's right. Yeah. So the humility thing, I think it's really difficult to be an effective leader. Certainly a great leader if you come from a place of ego most of the time. So I think the humility thing is always hugely important, and continuing to remind yourself that you are a very, very small part of a much bigger thing, as in, you're one human being on planet Earth amongst 8 billion others, and that planet Earth is an infinitesimally small object in the grander scheme of universal galaxial things. Glaxtial's the new word. I just made it up. It's what happens when you try and get clever on a Friday afternoon. So anyway, yeah, stay humble, folks. The other one, compassion. Again, given what we've been through as a species in the last couple of years, I think at the moment, being a good leader, I think requires us to have a lot more compassion, firstly for ourselves, but secondly for others around us. There's lots of opportunity for us to have a healing impact on others. And I think compassion's a great place to start.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Grahame.
Welcome.
Amazing. Great elaboration. I think you nailed it. Alan, I might throw the same question to you. What traits make for a good leader?
Thanks, Jez. I really relate to what Grahame says, and I guess I probably just got some different words for a similar thing, and mine were vulnerability and self-awareness. I guess it's noticing what effect are we having on the people around us. Are we accepting that, like Grahame says, we're a human being, and we're not perfect. We do make mistakes, and modelling that for our team that it is okay to make mistakes around here, because if we can't make mistakes, we can't be creative, try new ideas, and we're not learning.
I like that as well, the learning part of being a leader. Some people may think, I have the leadership skills, I'm ready to go, but I think staying as an eager learner, I think is a great tip there, Alan. So thanks for that. John, I'll throw it to you. What traits make for a great leader?
Well, I had humility on my list, but seeing as though Graham's covered that in such depth in his expansion of his answer, I'll leave that well alone. So things like patience, and when I say patience, it's allow others to have their say or to try to do things potentially potentially different to what you would do them, but still get the same result, still get the positive outcome. So to have patience and allow that to happen, you also have to have relationship skills and be able to build relationships with people. You've got to earn their trust, they've got to earn your trust. So those relationship skills become very important. So patience and relationship skills, Jez.
Love that as well. And I love you touching on the trust part of that as well. I think that's also a great aspect. So thanks for that, John. Awesome. I'll throw it to Kanika. What makes for a great leader? What traits?
I'm basing my answer off of people that have been leaders in my life and where I felt really valued. And I think the good leaders that I've had in my life have been the ones that have taken a genuine interest in me as a person and who I am and what I want to do. So I guess like seeing that they actually care. So someone, I think, just taking a genuine interest in you, like listening to you, hearing what you have to say. I think even outside of work, and just like wanting to get to know the people that they work with, and the people that they are leading. So I feel like people who take a genuine interest in the people that they want to lead is something that I've noticed has been really helpful for me. I respond to leadership like that really well. So I feel like it also creates more space for one-on-one learning. It creates space and creates context for the leader in how they're trying to lead specifically for the person they are trying to lead. So it's not like for them like a one size fits all form of leadership if they are getting to know all the people on their team and taking a genuine interest in all their lives. So they can kind of tailor their leadership to the people that need it and how they need it, more than just applying like a blanket rule.
Yeah.
But
nice. Yeah, that's good. I think I love the sort of takeaway that I'm getting from a lot of this is that humility, I guess, sort of comes into it in some ways where you're trying to you want to learn a lot about your employees in a lot of ways, or people that you're trying to lead, I guess, is taking cues from them even, is something that I've sort of picked up here. But yeah, thanks for your answers. Great stuff. This is good. I hope some people that are listening to this that want to become better leaders are starting to take away some stuff like I am. So Awesome. Thanks for the input so far. Let's jump to question 2 now, which is, what are some mistakes might first-time leaders make? And I'll start with you, Kanika, for this one. You're just on mute still.
I guess first time leaders mistakes they would probably make is putting too much pressure on their team, thinking like, at least in my personal experience, when I was leading my first sort of like creative project that I was doing, I think I set standards and had expectations of people that I didn't communicate to them. So they couldn't have known these were my expectations, and me just expecting them to do a certain thing a certain way without me communicating that was clearly a problem. So, because I didn't get what I want, they didn't know what I wanted. And so I think when you're leading someone, figuring out if you're like compatible in sort of like a communication way, setting your expectations beforehand is important. Otherwise, I think the person that you're trying to lead will end up frazzled and confused, and you'll end up disappointed and confused. So I guess like communicating expectations is something that maybe first time leaders wouldn't do. They just kind of expect something to happen. So I think being transparent and letting your team know what you want from them and what you kind of require from them and how you kind of want to have them communicate with you and vice versa. That's something a first-time leader can keep in mind. Like, communicate your expectations. People aren't going to read your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And I think that's a great one as well, because some people may, like you said, not be used to it. So that's a great answer. Thanks for that, Kanika. John, I'll throw the same question to you now. What are some mistakes first-time leaders might make?
The one that there are two that I see, and working where I work, it's you've got some people who come into leadership roles and they're immediately making changes, and you often sit back and you have conversations with your colleagues about, do we really need to do that? Does it need to be, whereas I've seen other people walk into roles and they say, I'm not touching anything for the first 100 days. There won't be changes for the first 100 or a period of time. So finding that balance of, why are you making the changes? Are you making the changes just to leave your mark on things, or are you making your changes to make things and things are going to get better as a result? So being able to distinguish the two. The other one I would say is that leaders sort of get confused. They think they have to have all the answers. And really you don't. There are key people that sit underneath you that help you make those informed decisions, and you leverage off their information and come to your own conclusions. But you don't need to have all the answers. Build a team around you that can support you with your weaknesses, so that where you're not particularly strong, other people can fill that hole for you. So there's a couple of responses, Jess.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. I also love that these are so far so different. So we're getting a nice broad approach. So thanks for that. Alan, I'll throw it to you. What are some mistakes first-time leaders might make?
The one coming up for me, Jez, is focusing on our KPIs. Are we getting the job done, and forgetting about our people? And I like the way John and Kanika have both spoken about the relationships and the people. And it takes me back to that saying where people don't care how much we know until they know that we care. And understanding our team and knowing where their strengths and their weaknesses are allows us to put people in areas where they can really shine.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's a great takeaway as well, that people don't know how much, how much that care thing. Sorry, I've forgotten it now, but it was a great line, Alan.
No, well done, Jeff. Well put together.
Thanks. Great hosting by me,
Inspiring.
Look, I care, Alan, and I think that's the most important takeaway, I'd say. Awesome. Grahame, I'll throw it to you. What are some mistakes first-time leaders might make?
Probably the most obvious one right now is not writing things down when they hear them, the first time, which is completely unkind, and I apologise. So seriously, I think one is thinking that they're on their own. So I have to do it. And this sort of goes back to part of John's response around, build a team around you. So, and the idea that you don't have to have all of the answers. Leadership doesn't have to be a solo thing. In fact, most of the time it's not. Very, very rarely is a complete solo thing. Even the people that we recognise as great leaders throughout history usually had people behind providing support, guidance, etc. The other mistake, I was going to say, what mistakes might new leaders make? All of them, which is usually a good thing. So, but following on from that, probably the other mistake is, again, going back to John's comment about not getting it 100% right the first time. Being outwards focused, for me, is a huge one. And Alan was talking earlier about self-awareness. So the traditional, and we use that, industrial age definition of a leader was a charismatic visionary who literally led people on whatever path they decided they wanted to go on. And I think that's shifted massively. So first-time leaders should spend more time thinking about how they lead themselves rather than worrying too much about how they're going to lead the people around them.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Grahame. I loved all the answers to that question, by the way. I felt like everyone came at it from a different approach. So hopefully if you're listening to this and you're a new leader, there's something that you can definitely take away. And if you do find a good quote, definitely write it down. I think that's a good lesson that I've learned today. All right, well, Grahame, we'll stay with you for our final question here, which is, what are some techniques to make you a better leader?
It's not really a technique. It's probably more of an attitude. But I think and I should have written this one down, Jess. This is what happens. It comes back to bite you. The apprentice mindset. So just carrying or holding an apprentice mindset. And the concept of an apprentice, for those who might not be familiar with it, is I'm still learning. I never get to mastery. I never become a master of being a leader. So if I hang on to this idea of being an apprentice, then I'm always open to learning things about, or learning new ways of becoming a better leader. So
I love that. That's a great one, Grahame. Thanks for that. Alan, I'll throw the same question to you. What are some techniques that can make you a better leader?
I really relate to what Grahame was saying, Jez, where a lot of us start off as the technician and we're really great at our job, and we move up through the ranks and find one day that we're in a management role, and for some reason we assume that we have those management skills. So being curious about what else is there out there that I don't know, and learning skills like communication to build the relationships with your team, which as a technician they may not be required, but as management, they're vital.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Alan. Yeah. And I think it's a good overarching thing to keep in mind, I think. So, just being willing to learn, I think, is a great technique. So yeah, thanks for that, you two. John, I'll throw to you. What are some techniques that can make you a better leader?
So I'll go with two again. And one is, have you thought about what's the legacy you want to leave behind? Have you given consideration to what that is? And it goes back to Grahame, that can be an external thing, but it also, how do they lead themselves? So unless you know what's at the end of the journey, or your destination, you're going to make all sorts of meanderings. But yeah, what's the legacy you want to leave behind? And the second one is, I guess, when there is a big decision to be made, order a cup of coffee. So, and what I mean by that, there's a movie, and Morgan Freeman's the vice president of America, and the president's blah, 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 and, bombs and shit going off. But they're talking about whether they make this huge decision. And he's just come into the room, he's going through, and he's got everyone at him. And his first response is, such and such, get me a cup of coffee, I'll have white with 2 sugars and blah. And it's like that just buys him some time to actually think about what he's doing and what the impacts of the decision he's going to make are. So yeah, order that cup of coffee to buy yourself that time so that you're not just making rash decisions or knee-jerk decisions, but you're actually making informed and considered decisions.
That's a great tip there. Thanks for that, John. Love it. Kanika, I'll throw to you now. What are some techniques to make you a better leader?
I think feeding off of what Grahame said earlier, where be open to learning constantly, and also you're not alone in this is an important thing to remember. So I guess listen to your team when they're telling you something. Don't try and shut them down because you're the leader. Like, listen to what people have to say. And I think also approaching situations with empathy and open-mindedness, I also think is really important, because I think you get more done and you have better results that way than leading people through just what you've like read in like a leadership book 10 years ago. Like, you have to like give room to change. You have to be flexible, because like I said, not everyone's going to enjoy the same style of leadership. Not everyone's going to respond to the same style of leadership. So I think being flexible in that respect is also really important. But yeah, I think everybody's really discovered what I was going to say. And so this is just my extra tidbits on that.
Yeah, well, we're lucky enough. Danette has jumped in as a special guest right at the end here. So we'll throw the last question to you. That's what we're up to at the moment. But I did also want to say, I think that one thing that I'm taking away so far is how much of it is, how much of leadership is relying on other people and listening and giving them space as well to help you. I think that's something that I'm definitely taking away. So thanks so much for everyone's response. Danette, I'm going to throw you the last question, which is, what are some techniques that make you a better leader?
Awesome. Can you hear me? Because it's a bit choppy. So, yep, awesome, beautiful. So I think to that point about it involves other people, getting yourself a good coach or a mentor to be able to continuously develop your skills so that people are, you're continuously growing and accepting that you don't know everything. And in fact, you're going to be dealing with people who are different to you. The questions I think are super important. And for me, daily reflection and continuously learning and growing, they help you become better. And I think accepting that failure is going to be part of your leadership, and be gracious in that failure, because there are some fabulous gems of lessons if you're willing to be humble about not getting it right first time. Thanks, Jez.
Awesome. Well, yeah, great addition. Thank you for that. And I want to thank everyone for jumping on the podcast today. It's great to see 6 screens up on the screen here. So that'll be a feast for the eyes for the people that want to watch this podcast. We might just now wrap it up. So for just Leadership 101, some final thoughts. And I'll start with you, Mum, and then we'll go back the other way.
I think that as a leader, 101, know that you can't know everything, that everyone you meet knows something you don't, and that's a Bill Nye quote. And so use the skills, the strengths of your people, and if you feel like you need to control them, that is your issue, your fear. What you need to do is empower your people and use their beautiful skills to the maximum. So that for me would be my tip. Thanks, Jez.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Danette. Thanks for your little last minute cameo. Great stuff. Awesome.
Thank you.
It's all right. Kanika, final thoughts on Leadership 101.
I think there's nothing that hasn't already been said about leadership in this podcast, but I would say listen, learn, like Danette said, like leave room for failure, because there will be failure, and accept it graciously. and don't expect you're going to succeed the first time you do something. And don't beat yourself up if you don't succeed at doing something the first time you do it, because that's not helpful to you or your team.
And I think you almost, if that last one had it started with L as well, you had a great 4 L's, because it was listen, learn, leave room, and then the last one didn't have an L, so I couldn't incorporate it into the 4
no.
L's. But good work. Thanks for that, Kanika. John, I'll throw to you. Final thoughts on Leadership 101.
Look, leadership is a lifelong journey. I've got thrown in an L there for you, Jez. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you're going to learn something new every day. You're going to fail at times, but you dust yourself off and pick yourself up and you go again. And yeah, just be humble about it.
I love that. And I think that's also reminding me of if you are struggling to sort of deal with some of that stuff, we have some resilience podcasts. So if you're struggling with some of the things, there is also ways to build your resilience. You can go back in the archives and check them out. But thanks for that, John. Really appreciate it. Alan, I'll throw to you. Final thoughts on Leadership 101.
The big one standing out for me, Jez, is that we're not alone as the leader. We are human. We're going to make mistakes. And this is a lifelong journey, and people do want us to succeed. People are there to help, and quite often all we have to do is find somebody who's getting those results that we want, and just ask them, how do we do that?
Yeah, I love that, and that's a great way for people that are not sure how to learn. Find people you want to be more like and ask them. I think that's a great one there, Alan. So thanks for that. And Grahame, final thoughts on Leadership 101.
I can't remember where I heard it or read it. May have been Robin Sharma, might not have been. A leader's primary responsibility is to grow more leaders around them. Start with why. Why do you want to be a leader? That's it.
Perfect. I mean, I think, and that's a great question to end on. I actually think it's a perfect question to end on. So thank you for that, Grahame. And I think for all new leaders, definitely that's the question to ask. And then take in the rest of the podcast. There's so much to learn from this. I want to thank everybody for being on today. I want to thank Danette for jumping on right at the last minute as well for some final responses. And I want to thank everyone here for being here. Like I said, I love seeing when there's 6 screens on the Zoom. It always makes me feel happy. It means we're getting a lot of responses. So it's always good. And I'm always learning stuff. As always, I want to thank everybody that's been listening. We had another great week last week. And I just can't be thankful enough for the support that we're getting from everybody that's listening. So thank you all so much. And to everybody that's on the podcast today, I want to thank you all very much. It's all this stuff is really helping me even try and learn a bit more about leadership and how to do it. So I'm learning stuff every week. So thank you all so much.
Thanks, Jez.
Thank you, Jez.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Jez.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
That's all.
Apologies that I was late.
That's no problem at all. That's another one of the L's to add to the list. And I just wanted to say, I haven't done the actual sign off. Everyone have a magical week.